Hello, Virgo. Welcome to Moonflower Tarot. Before I begin, I just want to remind you that I now have an Etsy page where you can get personal email readings from me, and the link to that Etsy page is in the description box below. So without further ado, let's start. So the purpose of this video or tarot reading is to figure out what is a message for Virgo. So if you're Virgo, whether in your sun, moon, rising, Venus, or Mars signs in your astro chart, and you stumbled upon this video, then this message is for you. So let's just get straight into the reading. It's a pretty big spread, but I'll try to keep it short and concise. So here we have the Lover's card, the King of Cups, and the Ten of Swords. So what I'm getting from this is that you're in a relationship not long ago, possibly an ex-lover. I'm seeing with the Ten of Swords that there might have been a separation. This was after you were very vulnerable with them. This could even be someone that you're in a relationship with now who you're feeling a bit distant from for some reason. Like I'm getting this feeling of feeling disconnected from this person in some way, whether it's involving a separation or maybe just feeling like disconnected from them. I'm seeing here that this was a little bit after you were vulnerable with this person, whatever happened with them, not quite sure, but it's like you put your heart out, like you were vulnerable with them, and then something happened where maybe it was almost a situation of this person feeling like they weren't quite ready for that kind of vulnerability to share. Like you wanted to share your vulnerabilities with them, but I'm seeing here that they weren't quite ready, or maybe they were overwhelmed by other things, like a lot of things going on in their life, and so they couldn't really reciprocate that vulnerability, and so they were kind of afraid. And I think ultimately that's why they disconnected, or this led to a disconnection. And then here we have the King of Coins, or King of Pentacles. We have, I believe this is the Four of Swords. And then we have the Close. Oh, excuse me, Karma. So I'm seeing that for whatever reason it is, I think that you felt like you were giving a little too much, or maybe they were giving a little too much when it came to finances. Whoever this person is, this person that you're thinking of, or that maybe you got in an argument with, like a love interest, romantic interest, you felt like, I think ultimately that you were giving a little too much financially, or they were starting to almost play the role of like a parent, and it was getting a little too much for you, or maybe they felt like you were being a little too like encroaching on their autonomy or personal sort of feeling of independence, and I think maybe they felt a little overwhelmed, and I think ultimately that led to, oh, excuse me, this is the Five of Swords, not the Four of Swords, but it led to this feeling of maybe like the relationship or dynamic between you, it's like it shifted from this sort of feeling of taking care of each other, like that kind of thing, to, or being there for each other, to this feeling of just combativeness, like maybe defensiveness. Like I said, maybe they weren't quite ready to be vulnerable, to share vulnerabilities with you, or maybe you weren't quite ready. Even on the flip side, maybe you weren't the one who was ready to be vulnerable yet, and so it created this sort of defensive dynamic between you two. Maybe some passive-aggressive tendencies, maybe some harsh words were said towards each other, maybe something hurtful happened, and that's what ultimately led to this disconnection I'm seeing here. With the Karma, I'm seeing that there's some Libra energy. Ooh, there's some Libra energy here. So this person that you were dealing with, I think maybe they have some strong Libra placements or some traits of a Libra. Strong personalities all around, or you may have Libra in somewhere in your astrological chart as well, dotted in there, or traits of a Libra. But either way, this points to somebody who has a strong sense of justice and strong sense of harmony, but at the same time, you also want peace. Okay, I'm getting some passive aggressive energy, honestly, with this person, or between each other. Like the dynamic, I'm sensing it was a bit passive aggressive, whatever this conflict was. There might have been some harsh things that were said. There might have been a bit of vindictiveness. I'm sensing commitment phobia as well, just all around the big picture. I'm sensing some commitment phobia, either from their side or your side. I'm thinking that the root of this sort of issues here, something to do with finances, and then afraid of being vulnerable or afraid of accepting someone's vulnerabilities, because that means that you also have to open up as well. Maybe you weren't ready or they weren't ready to do that yet. But I'm seeing that ultimately you are now looking for a serious commitment, or to move on. Like if you're already in a relationship, I'm seeing that you're ready to move on to the next step, which is sort of like this picture here. I don't think I need to really say anything because it's a pretty clear picture, this sort of balance, something secure, like a strong foundation that can grow. It's this feeling of abundance, not just financially, but mostly on an emotional level. I think that's what you're looking for now. You're really, really focused on that. I'm seeing here. And I think that this relationship, or whatever this was with this person, I think it kind of opened your eyes, shifted your perspective in a way, or I think you're sort of like, you had to go through this, whatever this was, this disagreement, this distancing, or whatever it was, to sort of get in tune with your true desires, or whatever maturity you needed to reach to get to this level of really maybe wanting something more secure, more long-term, and more wholesome, and also just maybe better for yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. And here I'm saying that, yeah, you are ready. I think at that moment when you shared your vulnerabilities with this person, I think somewhere inside you, like, you knew that even if this leads to a breakup, or this leads to something like an ending with this person, or maybe it'll cause problems, I think ultimately you knew that this is something you had to do. You needed to share what was on your mind with this person, and I think that was for the best, because whatever the result was, I'm seeing that whatever this is, it needed to happen for you to be able to continue on your path to what you really need in a partner, in a dynamic, or in a romantic relationship. And with the Emperor card, I'm thinking that you are very focused about what you want, either in a future relationship or a current relationship. And I think that you are ultimately going to get there because you have so much focus towards it. And you also have this, I think, this feeling that you've learned a lot, you've experienced a lot. And the takeaway here is that you're sort of, it's like this feeling of having to go through that and having to learn that lesson in order to become more mature, maybe someone who's more sure of what they want, not just in romance, but in life as well. And also maybe getting to know yourself better, especially as more of a, I'm getting this feeling of like going for maybe like uncertainty, or maybe even just being focused, like too focused on one thing, to sort of moving into a more well-rounded, mature sort of mentality. So here we have the sheep who wandered and found a different shepherd, dependency, and the all-knower. So I'm seeing that, yes, you are going through a learning process, or maybe you have already learned a lot from that experience in the past. It's something you had to go through to get closer to what you really need in your life. And I'm seeing that you have to really be able to disconnect from that past part of you, something that you had to let go of or learn a lesson with, and then moving on to like a better you, like a part of you that you feel more is aligned with your subconscious, like your true inner self. But I'm seeing here that you have to let go of that old part of yourself in order to truly move on and mature and get to where you want to be, whether that's in life or romantically, like in the right sort of relationship or in the right place in an already existing relationship. You have to really break the chains of dependency. I'm seeing here there might have been some codependency in the past, maybe even unhealthy patterns. Like right in the middle we have the Five of Swords. This points to maybe even like sort of self-destructive tendencies, whether you have those tendencies or maybe you are you have like a pattern of sort of dating people who have self-destructive tendencies, something like that. But ultimately, it just wasn't healthy. I'm seeing this sort of like problem with dependence, whether you allow people to depend on you too much, maybe even like financially, or maybe you allow yourself to become dependent on someone or have someone maybe who's overbearing, even who tries to play the role of a parent, but you really don't want that. I mean, that's not an equal partnership, and it's definitely not healthy. Here I'm seeing the all-knower. So I'm seeing this need to possibly break from looking for somebody who, okay, honestly, you guys, I'm just going to tell you what I'm sort of picking up from the spread. I'm really getting that maybe you're the type who normally seeks out people who tend to sort of tell you what to do, who are a little bit outspoken, who tend to be maybe even a little bit bossy. But I'm seeing here that it's not anything that deviates from, I think, a feeling of balance or equality in a romantic partnership. This could even be friendship or in a work relationship, whatever it is. Anytime that you feel like somebody is telling the other what to do and they have a little too much control, it's like it's just not healthy. Like you need like an equal give and take. You need to feel like you have as much input, they have as much input in the dynamic for it to be equal. You know, think about it like a partnership, partnership that doesn't rely on dependency or self-destructive tendencies to feel whole in the dynamic. Like you don't have to hurt each other to feel, I don't know, like a sense of belonging, because I know that sometimes psychologically, some people who have been through past trauma, whether it's even just like for passive aggressively, maybe like somebody hurt them or something like that, I think that they, people like that, this happens actually quite commonly, they might think that they have to go through like feeling of pain or like instability in order to feel like, okay, this is truly love because I'm feeling something, right? But that's not actually healthy, because ultimately I'm seeing here that balance and equality, that's what you need to strive for, and really try to break the chains of feeling like something familiar that's not healthy for you. Like you really have to recognize that even though this feels familiar, this feeling of either somebody almost being like abusive or telling me what to do, or like this feeling of having to experience trauma in order to truly bond with someone, that you have to recognize that that's not healthy and learn to break away from that, and to really give up maybe even that part of yourself that feels like they need that kind of feeling of someone hurting you in order to feel truly like they love you. That's not love. I mean, sure, you may feel intensely when somebody hurts you, but that's not healthy. That's abuse. And I just want to, I can't emphasize enough that if you ever feel like you're in an abusive situation, whether that's directly, indirectly, it could even be direct, it could even be passive aggressively, abusing you, like emotional abuse as well, I highly recommend maybe seeking out someone that you can trust to talk to about these kind of issues, or maybe even therapy or counseling if you feel like this is really deeply ingrained inside of you. And it's up to you, I think, to really seek out that part of yourself, find it, bond with it, and then learn to ultimately reconcile with that part of yourself and let go of that part of yourself. You have to know like what part of you need to let go of in order to truly reconcile and say goodbye, to bury the hatchet, if you will. And here we have partners. So let me just zoom in here. So here we have partners, and then here we have age. So I'm seeing this need ultimately for you to really recognize what you need in a real partnership, not just a temporary sort of thing where you want to go through this pattern maybe that you are used to, or that you grew up around, or that you just have programmed yourself, maybe even unknowingly, to go through these periods of like self-destructive tendencies, or maybe being involved with self-destructive people. That's like that's almost like you're projecting your inner self onto other people when you do seek out people who are self-destructive. And little do people know that that may be just a form of self-suppression, and then projecting your own sort of like inner self onto somebody else. But you really need to, I think, make a list of things, like 5 things that you're really looking for a partner. What do you really need beyond that pattern of, unhealthy dependency? Like, what is it that you truly need, that that is truly healthy for you? And I think doing that is going to really help you to recognize what you really need in order to move on to something healthy, something with a strong foundation, not something that is going to hurt you just because it feels familiar. Or I'm sensing something like that here. This is just honestly what I'm picking up from this particular spread. This may not resonate with everyone because this is such a general reading. However, for this particular spread, this is what I'm picking up. And I'm also getting that maybe you can even write down, in conjunction with 5 things that you're looking for and that you really need in a healthy partnership, maybe even write down 5 things that are deal breakers, that you just absolutely cannot accept from somebody, that is unhealthy, or that will draw out unhealthy patterns inside of yourself. Just having that available to take out and look at, and to really strengthen that promise to yourself of delivering the things that you need in a healthy way, and distancing yourself from unhealthy patterns. I think that's very powerful. It's very powerful. And here we have Saturn return age. So I'm seeing that there's also a need here to, just to put it bluntly, to maybe make a list of milestones that you want to reach by a certain age. Maybe think of, who am I right now? Like, what do I want to accomplish in 10 years, maybe 5 to 10 years? Really have a heart-to-heart conversation with yourself. Maybe even think about something that you might have sort of lost touch with, as in, where did I want to be 5 years ago at the age that I am now? It can be a tough conversation. Obviously, don't be harsh with yourself. Just have an honest, open conversation. It's okay to ask yourself these questions, but not beat yourself up for not being at the place that you want to be, or maybe things move too quickly even. But don't shame yourself. This is just about asking questions, harmless questions, and just responding in an honest way, and maybe writing them down on a list. I recommend, 5 things, 5 milestones that you wanted to reach, 5 things that maybe you regret. It's okay to recognize patterns and to learn from those patterns. And once again, I really can't emphasize enough to refrain from being harsh with yourself, or from beating yourself up, or feeling, making yourself feeling ashamed. That's not what this is about. This is just about sitting down and having a heart-to-heart, honest conversation with yourself that may be a bit scary. But once you are able to do that and have that honest dialogue with yourself, especially when it comes to introspection, that's when you're able to pick up the pieces and move on, and really strive for, okay, this is where I really am right now, so where do I want to go from here, and to reach whatever that place is. I think that's really important here. I really, really cannot emphasize enough to, I know as a Virgo, you tend to have some tendencies to be really self-critical, to maybe even be harsh with yourself, maybe to shame yourself for no reason at all other than the fact that maybe you're a perfectionist. And there's no shame in being a perfectionist, but I just want to emphasize that, having like a heart-to-heart conversation to yourself, with yourself, it's more about bonding with yourself, and it's just about asking yourself questions and being accepting of whatever those answers are. So like, comment, subscribe, share if this resonated with you, Virgo. And I just want to remind you again that I now have an Etsy page where you can get personal email readings from me, and the link to that Etsy page is in the description box below. So I'll see you later. Bye.